Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Bizerte in Tunisia. But a quick note that I've heard this pronounced a couple of different ways. I'm sticking with Bizerte because that's the one I heard most often and it's the one I've always called it. So if you do pronounce it differently, my apologies. It's probably a regional thing, I suppose. I don't know. But Bizerte is located along the Mediterranean coast here in North Africa. And in fact, right about like where the word Bizerte is written there, about there, so is Cap Angela, and that is the northernmost point in Africa, which is fun because on my channel we've already been to the easternmost point in Somalia. Now we're at the northernmost point. Just makes me think that as I go through every region of the world, eventually I'm going to hit all these different extremes, and it's really exciting to me, a nerd at least. There are many lakes in this governorate, and you can kind of see some of them on this map. My map of Tunisia is really small. I'm zoomed in really far right now. But you can see Lake Bizerte right here, which we'll talk about in its history. And you can see like about here, and it's written here. And I believe this is pronounced Ikul Lake, Ikul National Park. It looks like Ichkul, but I've heard Ikul, so I'm not positive on that, but that's what I heard. I'm going with it. And what's very special is that this lake is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So let me grab the tablet very carefully, because I am zoomed in, so that we can read about it on their website and look at some pictures here. It says the Ikul Lake and Wetland are a major stopover point for hundreds of thousands of migrating birds, such as ducks, geese, storks, and pink flamingos, who come to feed and nest there. Ikul is the last remaining lake in a chain that once extended across North Africa. Let's look at some pictures here. You can see it's just a very beautiful, very scenic lake. With, again, like it said, lots of wildlife, and that's pretty much what I was reading about it. It's pretty much just a hot spot for bird watchers. There's a little friend right there. Nature lovers, things like that. It's not like, hey, let's go jet skiing, let's go boating, you know, it's a place to just quietly observe the beautiful nature and the beautiful landscape here. Tunisia is such a beautiful country and all of its many different landscapes. And North Africa to me is a really special place. It's one I really want to go to someday. With little kids. Donkey here too, how sweet. But yeah, just part of the beautiful landscape here. We're going to spend quite a while on Google Earth. The Google Earth section is probably going to be longer than the history section, to be honest, because there's just so much to see here in the lovely landscape. There are many other little lakes. There are historic sites to see throughout the governorate. The end point of the Tel Atlas Mountains kind of fades out around here, so we'll look at some more gorgeous landscapes there. It's just a beautiful little spot in Africa, in my opinion. It's wonderful. But let's go over this history, because Tunisia's history is very, very interesting to me. The city here of Bizerte started out as a Phoenician little trading seaport in about the year 350 BCE. The Phoenicians, coming from what is now Lebanon on that end of the Mediterranean, sailed all throughout. They were big-time traders, and they made little posts here and there, and one of them was Bizerte. Of course, their most famous was Carthage, you can see right here near Tunis. And that was where the Carthaginian guess, empire was based. So this area became ruled by the Carthaginians, who were, of course, defeated in the Punic Wars by the Romans. So the Romans would come and conquer. Now, back then, this was not called Bizerte. It's called by a couple of different names. The most common one I saw was Hippo, but that is a nickname for a much longer name. I've seen Hippo diuretus, I've seen Hippo zaratus, and a couple of others that I saw here and there, and that weren't sourced other places, but it seems like for the most part they just called it Hippo. Then in the year 661, the Arabs invaded and occupied, and they changed the name to Bizerte, which was their way of saying, I guess, Zaratus, like Hippo Zaratus. That works for them. So many places like that around the world that are just different people's pronunciations of like the previous owners' residence's name for the town. That's just one of them. The Zirids would rule this area for a while. It would eventually become part of Ifriqiya, which was a very large region here along the North African coast, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya. They were ruled by the Hafsid dynasty. They would be overthrown in 1535 by the Spanish, and Spain would occupy Bizerte until 1572, when they were defeated by the Ottomans. This area came under that control, although there were many pirates that lived in this area so that they could pirate around the Mediterranean and be a plague to everyone else, right? However, all of that would change in 1881 when the French invaded what's now Tunisia. And they set up Bizerte as a military base, since it's right on the shore here, up north, so that they could easily reach anywhere in the Mediterranean by boat. And in 1895, just to make things a little easier for them, they connected Lake Bizerte to the Mediterranean by digging out a big canal and building a big port in there. During World War II, the Germans would invade and occupy in 1942. The Allies would recapture it in 1943 because, of course, very important military post. In 1956, Tunisia became independent from France. But France was not very willing to give up Bizerte because it was their military base here in the Mediterranean. They wanted to hold on to that, and they held on to it very strongly, so that even when rebellion broke out, when fighting broke out, when a war was imminent between Tunisia and France, France still wanted to hold on to it. So the UN had to intervene and tell them, you gotta give it up. Tunisia's independent, you gotta get out. And so the French would eventually leave in 1963. In 1964, an oil refining industry began here. It's been thriving ever since. And that is the little brief history of Bizerte, the Bizerte Governorate. Alright, I am anxious to hop over to Google Earth and show you all these incredible sights. Again, Tunisia is one of my bucket list countries to visit, along with northern Algeria here. So I'm excited. I'm always happy to talk about Tunisia. So let's hop over to the tablet and check it out on Google Earth. Here we are in Bizerte Governorate. Let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. If you're not sure where Tunisia is located, that's totally okay, because you're about to learn right now. Totally fine. So here we can see the African continent, North Africa, the big beautiful Sahara Desert. So you have to find Tunisia, obviously you're going to look for the Sahara, the Mediterranean, and there's just this bump out right there in North Africa, and that's Tunisia. See this bump right there? That's Tunisia. It goes down into the desert, but that's how you can find it on the globe. And just south of Italy, there's Sicily and all the various islands up there, Sardinia and all that. But let's get into it. I guess we'll start over in the city. You can see here the little canal that was dug to connect the big lake here to the sea. They can easily sail in and out. Big drawbridge built across it as well. Let's start on the beach. I think, like everywhere, we should always start on a beach. I love beaches. I love swimming. Later this week, we're going to go back to the Bahamas. So look forward to lots of beaches then. But isn't this so nice? Oh, camels out there on the beach. How fun. Go windsurfing. Bring the boys. Set up a tent. Doesn't this look so relaxing? Splash in the water. Bring your bike. Enjoy the views. You can't go wrong with a North African beach. Mediterranean water. Must be so nice. So let's look here at the old town up here. We'll start here in the Medina, kind of the center of the original town before it sprawled out during modern times. You can see some cool old ships still docked there in the very old harbor that's been used since Phoenician times. Look at that. It's pretty epic. Beautiful buildings, of course. Ooh, fruits growing too. And very old, neat buildings. Oh, kitty cats. 1, 2, 3. And beautiful doors as well. Reminds me of Chiron, which isn't too far away. Oh, kitty cat. How they have all those blue doors and things like that. Decorated exteriors. I guess we can look down here real quick. The old fortress. And we'll briefly look at this museum nearby. Isn't that pretty? Mainly because it's one of the few times that the slideshow of the museum's mostly exterior shots. But it's so pretty. I love all the umbrellas too. Look at this. Because it's housed in part of the fort. And it's so neat. That's such a nice building. Look at that old door. Beautiful, beautiful. Little fountain, little green area there in the courtyard. You can see all the pretty buildings across the way. Such a neat little building there to have a museum in. Little fishies. Gorgeous. Is there anything else I wanted to show you here? There's lots of other sites to see. Here's the old harbor, which we've kind of been looking at, but that's okay. It's a neat slideshow. There's so many different slideshows, and I always encourage you guys. See, this reminds me of Chiron, this kind of facade. I always encourage you guys to play around on Google Earth yourself if you ever have a minute and you just need some time to kill if you're just bored. Pop on over to Tunisia and look around at the sites because there's so much to see. It's so lovely. But yeah, there's a lot to see over here. Those are just the highlights. And you can see just how big and modern it is nowadays. It's a big bustling city. While we're over here, I want to show you something really cool that I didn't talk about in history, but I have to find it first. It is this site of Utica, which is an old Roman city. Probably Carthaginian. I didn't read too much about it, to be honest. It's probably Carthaginian first, and the Romans took it over after the Punic Wars. let's skip past that. The pictures in this site aren't that great, but this one is beautiful mosaics, statues, a big old well. But yeah, old Roman town here. Like in many parts of North Africa, you can just find little Roman settlements here and there. You can see what's left from above. The slideshows aren't great, but you can see some villas here. Over there. The Acropolis. The Roman street. You can see what's left of that town. Over here. Come back. Come back. There we go. Old French church, that's not part of it. The museum pictures, we just saw most of them, so I won't show you. But the old amphitheaters over here, and look at this. Come back. A theater. What's left of it? It's covered in orchard. Can you imagine? This was once where probably so many neat plays were performed for the Romans who lived here, and now it's a farm. Can you believe there's an old bath? Over here you can see the aqueduct is nearby. Although the slideshow's not great for it, so we're not going to look at it. Over here. Really neat. You can find all kinds of Roman towns all throughout North Africa because they loved North Africa. Here is a cool lake. I suppose we'll look here. The Eco Museum. Oops. There we go. And see this beautiful preserved nature. Wow. Yeah, so it's not like, let's go and do water sports. Let's go swimming. Look at the friends there. It's a nature reserve. It's a place to appreciate, just like this gentleman's doing, the beautiful landscape. Like it said, look at all the friends there. Like UNESCO said, it's the last of an ancient lake system. And I was trying to read more about that. I couldn't really find it, but I was like, there's so many different lakes all throughout here, though. Like there's even this big lagoon over here, just connected to the sea there. I wonder if the French did that too. But I guess we can look at this lake. There's a slideshow. Garamel Lake. There we go. Not too many pictures, but enough for us to appreciate it. Just like that guy's doing, I suppose. He looks very grumpy. He doesn't look very happy to be at the lake, but that's okay. Yeah. Oh, I have to show you this before we leave the coast here. This big old cool island, which even from afar kind of looks like a battleship. But even from the shoreline, it still looks like a big old battleship. Isn't that neat? It's gorgeous against the horizon there. All the friends splashing around, enjoying the views of this big old rock out there. And according to here, there's an ancient burial chamber here. It's very kind of spooky because it is a little cave. Perfect place for an ancient burial chamber. But yeah, you can look along the coast here and see the lovely landscape, but I want to show you up here more. Some of the beautiful forest areas. You can see, like I said, just the last little highlands of the Tell Atlas, which, if you don't know, stretch across all of North Africa here. Just kind of fizzle out over here. It's all green and beautiful. But while we're up here, let's look at Cap Angela. Here we are, which I believe we looked at before on my channel, probably when I was covering Tunisia before. But here is the northernmost point in Africa. Sorry, Madagascar, you don't fit on the statue. But Yeah, this is as far north as you can go in Africa before you just, I guess, just hit Europe. Pretty neat. It's fun to see extremes like this. Cap Angela with the coordinates there. Bring your motorcycles. Come out and enjoy. Apparently it used to be, I guess this point over, no, where was it? That did not pop up last time I was looking around here. Archaeological site. For what? I assume some Phoenician stuff, but this just looks like a lovely beach. I'll believe them though. Kaplag used to be designated the highest point, but I mean you could just look. That's higher. But anyway, lots of beautiful sights along the coast. And here's all the mountainy bits. So pretty. Oh my gosh, you guys, I did the thing again. You know how before I accidentally clicked on a bunch of like event halls in Vietnam, and now it only wants to show me event halls. Tomorrow we're going to Croatia, and I accidentally tapped on a bunch of cemeteries in Croatia. Now it only wants to show me cemeteries. Good going. I am just plagued by cemeteries. I just forgot what I was going to show you. I got distracted by the cemetery. You see, I was over here. I completely forgot. Oh, you know what I was also thinking? I kind of lost a thought before about the lakes, right? Well, the ancient lake sites. I was like, but there's so many lakes up here. So I went looking about, and they're all dammed lakes. So they're all man-made. You can see the dam right there. So I'm like, but there's so many lakes up here. Why is that one the last? But these are all man-made. They're not some ancient cool lake. By the way, speaking of lakes, I just recorded the Spooky Lakes book for my channel members. It should be up in like 2 weeks for them. So if you want to see me read, it's like a 2-hour video. If you want to hear me read that, you can click the join button. It's right down there. It's a good one. And it's all whispered too. Capsera. Another beautiful beachy area here. There's so many. Look at the cow friend. There are so many slideshows up here. It says it's a museum. Do I believe? Oh, wow. Oh, I did remember this. It's a pottery. Potterie de Sechnan Hadasitani. See some pottery being made and sold. Isn't that nice? Been doing that in The Sims a lot in the latest. The newest pack. I've been making lots of pottery. It's kind of fun. Not going to distract myself. What else was I going to show you? Goodness, I've forgotten. There's just so many places to see up here. This forest is really pretty. Forêt de Sechnan. Oh, never mind. It's apparently just a one-picture slideshow, and it's very blurry. Let's see, what did I see before? Cliff dwellings. Love a good troglodyte. Very cool. But yeah, basically this whole area is so beautifully forested and rocky, hilly, mountainous. It's so pretty. All of like the Algerian and Tunisia coast is pretty like that. I love it. Fun. Cliff dwellings. Can't go wrong with cliff dwellings. Waterfalls. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, I have spent a couple hours wandering around Bizerte here on Google Earth. Highly recommend you do so. It's so pretty. Someday I'm gonna go to Tunisia. Look at this statue. I was just showing my brother-in-law the places I wanted to go to in Tunisia and Algeria. And I showed him Tatooine and he's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, we gotta go see Uncle Owen and Aunt Bruce's house in Tatooine. He's like, wait, it's real. I'm like, yep. Tunisia's awesome. So they filmed Star Wars. Goodness. I guess we can look around the lake a little bit more, and I suppose we'll end it there. Oh, I didn't show you the mines here. We'll look at that to end it. But look. Spooky. Scary caves. Caves creep me out, but in the good way. Like, I'm fascinated, but creepy. So yeah, let's end it over here. And if there's anything that I was like, oh, I completely forgot to show them this amazing slideshow, I'll leave it in a comment down there, okay? So you can check it out for yourself. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Like I mentioned earlier, it's an ongoing series, and we're heading over to Croatia next. Which is fun because we haven't been to Croatia before. And then at the end of this week, we're going to another country I haven't covered yet. We're going to Wales. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. An elephant. Okay. Please don't forget to give me a little thumbs up and a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night.